Welcome into this segment of Behind the Pen presented by MostValuablePodcast.com. If you want to listen to the full podcast, go to blogtalkradio.com/MostValuablePodcast. Also, we're on iTunes, so check us out there as well. Thank you all for listening as always, and enjoy the show.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? And I know what you're thinking to yourself, guys. Wow, Mike Rankin, you really let yourself go this week. Really let yourself go. Just kidding, Mike Rankin out with Sean. He's in Sioux City, Iowa. So the B Squad is here. Ricky Widmer along with Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody. Here
on Behind the Pen. Boy, do we got a show for you guys. We're going to be talking all NFL free agency, a topic that me and you don't get to talk about that much.
What lucky guys we are to be recording this on the night of free agency.
The night of day one of free agency.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's been a great day one. We're going to look at really the three big topics. Da Bears. We're going to look at the Philadelphia Eagles and then look at the Washington Redskins, but this Bears segment will be split up into two. For my lucky cats on YouTube, if you're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or Stitcher, thank you guys for giving us the listen today. But Dave, before we start the podcast, I have a very important question for you.
Let's hear it.
So earlier this week, Rich Eisen did his 40-yard dash, or he didn't run it, he actually just displayed it. Mm-hmm. So they pre-recorded at the Combine. Earlier this week, they showed it. And his goal was to run the 40. He didn't meet this goal, though, was to beat 6 seconds. He got 6:02.
Oh.
I got two questions for you. First off, if you ran a 40 right now, what time do you think you would get? How fast do you think you can run a 40?
I think I could do it in 5'9".
5'9", 5'8", and above, or 5'8" and below, you beat the slowest time by an NFL player at the Combine.
Really?
So if you can get 5'8",
I always go 5'8" then?
If you go 5'8", you are better than the slowest time at a Combine. Also, here's your follow-up question.
I'm actually not. Can I reconsider and change mine 5'8" then?
Here's your follow-up, though. Can you be the fastest guy to run a 40 of the MVP crew? Would you be the best time out of the MVP crew? Because
Mike Rankin.
Because Justin Brown, we asked the rankings on the PTP earlier this week. He had you at number 1.
I appreciate the faith.
Brandon can't believe it because Brandon's at 3.
I appreciate that. Didn't Brandon run like track or something?
He did.
Ooh,
he did.
That's a little slap in the face to Brandon.
Brandon's at 3 in the Justin rankings behind Mark and yourself.
I don't believe Mark at all. I'm sorry. I will happily take that number 1. I'll go in cocky. Yeah, of course I'm the fastest person.
And this is one where I throw it out to you guys. If you guys want to see that, let us know in the comment section. We're thinking about
That'd be
doing
interesting
that.
to see.
And that's why I threw it out to you, because I know that Brandon will watch this and be like, he'll get upset.
Brandon, bring it on.
Because he thinks
maybe
he's
we'll
the fastest.
If the fans want to see it, maybe we'll even add a bet on top of it between us.
Maybe.
A gentleman bet. Yep.
I ain't betting nothing because I know my place down at the bottom. That's why when Justin had me at the bottom, I went, yep, that's exactly where I will stay. But we're going to move on into the real discussion of this, and we're going to start with Da Bears.
Mary Schefter miss to you, too.
Mary Schefter miss. And the thing we're going to start out with is the most important position in football, the quarterback position. The Bears go out and they get what seems to be their guy, and Mike Glennon said, no, I do not want to be the highest paid backup in the NFL. I want to go to a team. I want to start. He's going to get a 3-year deal, $18.5 million in guarantees. Dave, I'm going to hit you with the big question.
Yep.
Overall, is this a good or bad move for Da Bears?
Can I ride the fence on that one? I don't love it. I mean, how am I supposed to be excited about Mike the Red Giraffe Glennon? There's nothing there to love.
That's your best nickname right now.
Red Giraffe.
The Red Giraffe.
Can we get a pull up? Can we get a pull down below? Red Giraffe. Is that one going to work for us?
That's option A. We'll see if we can come up with 4 by the end of this.
But no, I mean, look, he hasn't had a ton of playing time. He was replaced pretty early on in his career with Jameis Winston, who phenomenal guy. I love him. I think it was absolutely the right move for the organization to make at the time, which is also why I'm not a huge fan of him. He's physically all there, but I think there's some problems with him and with his throwing stance, with his footwork in the pocket. He's deceptively good rolling out, but he seems to kind of take advantage of that 6'6" height. That frame is huge, and he just throws away some of the base mechanics that, he should have had down by now.
Well, and for me, I was exactly, not being a Bears fan, when it was like, oh, the Bears are going to get Mike Glennon, I was like, huh, okay. Like, it wasn't one of those things where even on the outside, I wasn't like, man, they hit the home run, or I wasn't like, ooh, why did you do that?
I mean, he's no Josh Freeman, as you would know as a Vikings fan.
He's no Josh Freeman. He's no Webb either.
Okay.
He's no Webb either. But no, this one to me, I think for the Bears, good or bad, I don't think this move is the one you go, no, this is the bad move.
I think it's a stepping stone. It's a 1 year, let's see what we've got out of him. And worst case scenario, we're still going to go develop a young quarterback behind him.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think Mike Glennon is the answer. He is not
He's
the
a
guy.
bridge. He gets you there.
He's the exact bridge. And he's not the guy where it's like, man, Mike Glennon. Now, if he develops into that, let's say he comes out, phenomenal. You get to the playoffs this year. I'm not saying it'll happen.
Oh.
I am not Mike Rankin, but I am saying I'm just throwing the what-if game. If you get you to the playoffs year one, then you rethink it and you go, maybe we do not need to think about replacing him sooner than we thought we did. The biggest thing that this move does for the Bears in my mind is it solidifies the fact that now Ryan Pace, John Fox, they do not have to sit there and go, great, we've got the monkey on our back that we have to take a quarterback third overall. Now they can say, nope, Mike Glennon's our guy, he's our starter. We will get a quarterback later, not take it at number 3.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there with your thoughts, because this is an organization that has been behind the 8 ball for a long time. The expectations in Chicago, we're a very vocal public. The media is not going to throw any punches for you. So honestly, it was just a whole lot of, you've got Cutler, you've got all these offensive weapons around him between Marshall, Bennett, Jeffrey, Forte. You just load up on all these names and you're like, how come you guys aren't winning? How come you're not competing for a championship? Da-da-da. And now it's like, okay, we've accepted we're moving in a different direction. We're rebuilding. Mike Glennon is this guy. He's a placeholder. He's what we're going to kind of leave as the here's our balance act right now. And then, we'll fill up around him. We'll develop young players. I'm happy to see that finally happen, because I felt like the old Bears regime kind of was dying a slow death. We watched players we loved, when we had that championship team, and ever since then it's just been like a slow decline. We had that spike for that year with Gase, and I loved it, but
the 2014
season. But then we went back to reality.
And the thing that I loved how you said behind the 8 ball, because when it comes to quarterbacks, that's exactly what the Bears have been. It's been one of those things where even you look at Jay Cutler, you make the trade for him right before the 2009 season. You have him he spends 2009 to 2016 as a Bear, as he is now released, no longer on the roster. And during that time, the Bears never went out, and I'm not saying they had to in the first round, but they never even third, fourth, they never took that guy where you thought, okay, this is the guy they're going to develop for the future. They never did a New England Patriots, let's say that. Yep. Go in the second, third round and say, we're going to take Jimmy Garoppolo, although we got Tom Brady. Yeah. They never did that, and they were always the one where it's like, this quarterback's done. Oh, where's our answer? Oh, wait, we've got nothing. We've got nothing to fill in with.
And even before Jimmy, it was, Hoyer, it was Matt Castle, like
Ryan Mallett.
It's the succession planning. It's a well-run organization for New England, and a franchise in Chicago where we're not exactly great at drafting, and that's being generous. We've had a lot of misses. Maybe we just have a problem developing talent. Like it's across the board questions as an organization as a whole. But I feel like that not doing a succession planning for the most important position in sports, like you started this off with, that is just a colossal failure, and it's public and everyone knows it because we're watching year after year. And not to knock on Jay, but when he did miss time, it was like, we're screwed.
Yeah, it's crap.
What do we got? We got a couple guys we brought in from other teams who may know the system but don't know our play.
Well, and that's why it was very refreshing when it was like, oh wait, the high school teacher can play. McCown can play.
Oh man,
dude, the high school teacher can play.
I loved him. I loved having him around here. He was a great presence in the locker room, and he was a professional.
Like, and the thing with Jay, it wasn't. And I don't want to get this onto a Jay conversation, but the thing with Jay is, the biggest argument that I'm hearing from fans just on the local radio here is, oh, well, he never had the help. He never had the team. You never had this. Some guy called in and was like, oh, well, the difference between Jim McMahon and Jay Cutler is that Jim McMahon never turned the ball over. Well, a caller later called in and was like, well, yeah, but Jim McMahon had the best defense ever of any NFL team, arguably.
Yeah.
And Jay Cutler never had anything around him during his entire career. Now, the thing with Mike Glennon coming in, it's, to me, almost a similar, not similar in the fact that he never had anything to do or anything going around him in Tampa, but he's a guy, came in 2013 into the league.
Yep.
He played 13 games in that season. Then the next year in 2014, only played 6 games. The other 11 games were by Josh McCown. And then after that, the team drafts Jameis Winston, and the rest is history. He doesn't play at all in 2015, which was Jameis's rookie season. And then this past season, he only saw 2 games and only had 11 attempts.
Yeah, he only
in
really
those
played
games.
in 1. So it's been an interesting ride for Mike Glennon. Do we think there's potential there? I think we have to. I mean, there's no reason we would actually sign him to a contract with guaranteed money if we didn't think he could play to some level. I think what we saw of him most recently, that last game he played, 10 of 11, 90% completion, 75 yards, touchdown. It was against Atlanta. It was a blowout game and time where it didn't really matter. But I think, in all honesty, there is hope there. There's a chance that this guy can be a okay quarterback, and I think that's where I'm gonna he's low end Andy Dalton. And just because they're both red hair, that's how I'm tossing out there. But no, I mean,
Well, you got the red giraffe.
You got it. So no, I think that Glennon honestly he's just going to be okay. You know what you brought up though that got me thinking? You brought up the Jay Cutler record and the support around him. And I honestly am starting to wonder, this Bears team, are we going to build for the future? Is it going to be built up?
I think so. I think
but the question is, how are we going to do it? Because we've watched this team have a complete, I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what to call it because it's not as bad as the Browns at quarterback. But we've had a parade of quarterbacks that have been unsuccessful in leading this team forward. If it's Mike Glennon or if it's the guy next to Mike Glennon, how is this team going to figure out the plan now? What's going to change?
What I think the Bears are doing, and I heard this on ESPN, I think it was Jay Hood said this today. He was filling in for David Kaplan on Cap and Company, and he threw out the thought of the main reason why the Bears pulled the trigger on Mike Glennon was, you got to think of this. This is the 3rd year of this regime, of the Pace-Fox regime.
Yep.
And it's really they're 3 years in, but they're finally starting the rebuild now, especially at the quarterback position. And this should have happened year 1. New coach comes in, I want my guy day 1.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this old guy. And I kind of felt like, John Fox might have had Jay Cutler forced onto him in a way, because he comes in and it's there's not many options out there. And really, I never thought the Bears were as aggressive to say, you know what, we're going to take a stand. We're moving on from Jay right now. This was the time where they had to move on from Jay. And I feel like we've seen in our text message group for MVP, Rankin and Mark and Sean even mentioned it. You look at the team right now, Brian even asked the question, well, what does this team have?
Yep.
And the big thing, you look at defense, and Sean even said, our linebackers. How did you build that? You've built it so far through the draft with Ryan Pace.
The draft? No.
You've got the young guys, and then the guys like McPhee and the guys that you've added in free agency.
I was going to say Danny Trevathan.
Yeah, Danny Trevathan. But to me, I'm looking as an outsider, as a Viking fan, I look at the guys that you've drafted, the Eddie Goldman's.
Goldman was good. I'll give you that.
Really, the only flop pick that Pace has had to me, early flop pick, is Kevin White. But the question I want to throw out that I heard today, that I never heard anyone throw out this question, and this was from Tom Waddle, was, can you really blame Ryan Pace for picking Kevin White there? Because it was an injury that is why we're saying he's a bust. It wasn't
can.
It wasn't he can't run the routes and he can't catch. It's just you can't predict if a guy's going to get injured or not. That's where Tom Waddle was going with that one.
And I understand it. I don't want to blame him because it's an injury. I want to blame him because I think it was a luxury pick that we could have gone a different direction with. Again, I was hoping we wouldn't be picking that high again for a long time. Guess what? Now we're at number 3.
Well, and I mean, I'll throw this out there. I'll throw the hypothetical out there. Of course, the Bears, a lot of us in conversation with that 3rd overall pick is we're saying safety, either Hooker or Adams, take your pick. It doesn't matter. The Bears would be happy with any of them. But depending how the rest of this draft process goes, if you're the Bears at 3, do you sit there and go, we lost Alshon Jeffrey in free agency.
Don't do this to me.
Corey Davis is sitting there. Do you pull the trigger maybe on Corey Davis instead of going defense?
No, I think we have to go defense. Now, the name out there that everybody's projecting is Allen, obviously. I think in our group we're looking for more of a leader on that defense, a high-impact player. Allen might have the highest, end result for what he can do in his career, but we're doing pretty good as far as our front 7, to be honest with you. Like, that's one area I'm not super concerned about. So I feel like, it's best player available, we might get a higher impact out of going safety early. And I don't feel like wide receiver is the right move. I think Corey Davis, I feel like that's a reach on him.
Because I think the name's going to get out there. The name is going to be there because
I don't feel good about it.
Because right now he's being projected to, as going into the combine, we kind of saw the flip of Mel Kiper kind of started it with his mock draft of, maybe Mike Williams isn't the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. And I feel like as we get closer to the draft, 5 is going to be so close to 3 that we start to go, do the Bears maybe go for an offensive weapon if they can't find one in free agency? And the thing with Jonathan Allen, the big thing coming out of the combine is, and we've heard it in the comment section at nauseum post-combine, is the arthritis in his shoulder. Where you see that and you just go, nope, I don't want it. Now, am I looking at that saying, no, I don't want it? Not really. Is it a minor red flag to me? Of course it is, but I still think he's a quality pick at number 3. I think if he's there at number 3, it's a choice between, which safety do we want or Jonathan Allen? Which one do we feel like we need more with? I would go safety only because unless you think Jonathan Allen's going to create so many sacks for you, you got to go with the defensive position that's going to affect Matthew Stafford. It's going to affect Sam Bradford. It's going to affect Aaron Rodgers, the king of the hill in that entire division. You got to worry about what is going to defend the quarterback that you're going to go up against. And I mean, even later, this kind of goes into that too. With Mike Glennon now on the roster, the big thing, you even mentioned it before we hit the record button. Looks like the Bears not going to go quarterback at 3. They can go quarterback with their first pick. It's like, 33, 34?
Somewhere in there.
First pick in the 3rd round, or that 3rd pick in the 2nd round that they have. Some are like, we can go quarterback there. What if the Bears go, and it depends on where they go, the guy that they liked from the Senior Bowl, Zay Jones, is there. They can go him in the 2nd round. The Bears now have options because they've solidified Mike Glennon at the quarterback position.
No, I think it's not a bad pickup because, I might get some shit for this, but I really like Barkles.
You do?
Matt Barkley. I think he showed me a lot in the last couple of games. Is he a little turnover prone heavy? I think those games kind of dictated themselves. Like, we know what kind of position we were in. He wasn't given a winning hand, so he just went out there and was slinging the ball around like there's no tomorrow because there wasn't. I honestly would have liked to give him a shot to run with the team to start the season. But you know what? Maybe in training camp we'll see something interesting. We'll see a little bit of competition between the two. I know, you're calling me an idiot because Glenn's got the guaranteed money.
Well,
but I think it'd be interesting.
I wasn't going to call you an idiot. I was just going to throw out, if you're the Bears, do you for sure say, no, Glennon's the starter? Or do you say, no, we're going to come in with the competition, try to not make it like, this is your job. You got to earn it.
Yeah, guaranteed money's hard to turn into a competition, like when you have a contract like Mike Glennon just received. So I think you let it, you can call it whatever you want it, but I'm really going to be watching closely that competition between the two of those going into this training camp and in the early preseason games. I think that'll be awesome. Honestly, the big question though is like, in your mind, because we're kind of we're both as a neutral opinion of Glennon right now. What would be a successful season to you to Mike Glennon?
A successful season? Maybe if the Bears go 7-9, I'm ecstatic. If the Bears go 8-8, I'm ecstatic.
That's the Bears team. I'm talking Glennon. Like
Glennon as a whole.
Yeah, if he goes, I don't know. I'll toss out some numbers. Like if he goes, 20 and 15 touchdowns to interceptions with like 3,000 yards, 2,700 yards.
big-
Are you going to be okay with that?
I see with me, I wouldn't be this year if I'm looking at Glennon, I wouldn't be focused on the numbers at all. I would be focused on the look, because the thing that was going on in my head is I'm thinking that another reason why this has happened is the big thing that we were talking about at the end of the year. I know we talked about it in our text group ad nauseum. Should they fire John Fox? John Fox is probably known that, hey, you know what? The seat's getting a little hot. Let's get Mike Glennon. Let's try to win me some games so that I can say, this is me at the end of the year. If Mike Glennon looks decent, let's say he doesn't look decent, what John Fox can then do at the end of the year and say, he can go and say, you know what? Jay Cutler wasn't my guy. This is the guy I want. Don't fire me.
Yep.
Let's get rid of Dowell Loggins. Because we've seen we've seen a huge kind of change between when we had Adam Gase and when we had Dowell Loggins. I'm speaking as John Fox right now. To where he could probably, if he can get Glennon to be good but not too good, he could use Dowell Loggins as a scapegoat and get an extra few years. Get 8 extra year.
I was going to say, I think Dowell Loggins is low-hanging fruit. I think that's an easy replace. I'll be curious to see how he plays out this season. I think obviously we're going to play heavily around Howard. You know, the emergence of him last year is huge. So my only thing is like, that'd be great, but like they're going to pack the box against us now because we don't have weapons. Jeffrey. You know, we picked up Marcus Wheaton in free agency. That was our spicy offensive weapon.
You saw that one. You're like, oh, I like that one.
I do. It's just a question of, I mean, he adds some speed if he's healthy. If he's healthy, it's great. But same problem. If our number 1 and 2 wide receiver, if they're healthy, we're not looking so good on offense when Kevin White and Wheaton are both question marks due to injury.
Well, and I mean, you have your top 2 receivers. I'm looking at ourlads.com. Right now on paper, your top 2 receivers, not including Wheaton, just the ones that you had here. Kevin White and Eddie Royal both were injured last year. So really the guy who played last year, who would kind of be your number 1 off of performance, Cameron Meredith. He's there. He's the and that's even the thing where, and it's
we need more draft picks. That's my answer. We really just need to go deep in this draft.
And that's why if I'm the Chicago Bears, I am praying to the football gods that Zay Jones does not creep into the low first round.
That'd be an interesting
because
grab.
If he can be there at that 3rd pick in the 2nd round, I think what the Bears can then do is say, you know what, let's push the quarterback position to round number 3, because I feel like when you get Mahomes, when you get Davis Webb, when you get Nathan Peterman, any of those
outside guys,
I feel like it's going to be, hey, you know what? And Peterman was the guy the Bears, I think it was either Peterman or Davis, I want to say Peterman, that the Bears were kind of looking at Senior Bowl, because the Bears got to work with the North guys. They got to work with those guys. That's why they like Zay Jones so much, because they actually got to work with him. The Bears have options here. They have options because of Mike Glennon, and because of that, kind of to end this up to answer the question at whole, I'm not going to say it's a bad move. I'm not going to say it's a good move. I'm going to say it's a mediocre move by the Chicago Bears, because the biggest thing it does positive for you, in my sense, is it gives you options in the draft to where you don't have to handcuff yourself to a quarterback. What do you think? Good or bad move, or like I said, mediocre?
I think I'm going to have to land on mediocre. It would have been a good move if we didn't give him so much guaranteed money. I think that's my only qualm with this. It's not that we don't have the money, because we do, but we're a penny pinching organization. The fact that, you know.
Well, I mean, why did you lose Stephen Gilmore? Or not Gilmore. Why did you lose AJ Bouye? Because he wanted $500,000. He wanted 0.5 mil.
About $500,000.
That's what he wanted.
Yeah, so as an organization, I think we're pretty cheap. So it's surprising that we give him that much money and guaranteed money. And that's why I think I'm going a little on the negative side for this one. If my meter's going a little negative, a little bit in the red.
And to just remind you, $18.5 million in guarantees for Mike Glennon. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below in the comment section. What do you guys think about the Mike Glennon signing?
Thank you guys for sticking around for this segment of Behind the Pen. If you want more Most Valuable Podcast content, click on the video up above, because I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep listening to our voices every day. But again, guys, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate you.